Heather, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Trevor?
Good. That was a great intro. Good music. It's the only
I
problem
was. I was kind of dancing in the background.
yeah, the only issue I really had was that there was a few too many pictures of Sean in it, but we can. I think now that we have this live stream, we might be able to edit that out or a little smiley face on there or something where Sean was.
A little Naheem of some sort.
Yeah, yeah. How you been?
Good. How about you?
Good. Very busy. Got a
Yeah.
got a cool live stream. This is my favorite time of year. I think I sub in for this once a year. Somehow I
Okay.
think I did the exact same thing last year when Juan was on vacation. Juan and Sean.
Okay.
I don't know how they always go on vacation together too. We should probably
It kind of
we need
makes you wonder,
we
right?
need to look into this and what's going on there. And are we missing out on the fun, or are we glad we didn't go? One of the
I think we're glad we didn't go, to be honest.
I'm leaning towards that as well. Um, so we have Matt from Helpt coming on later, correct,
Yeah.
to talk about AI.
Yeah.
Um, and
Super excited for that topic. It's a hot topic right now in our industry.
mhm. I'm not going to brag, but this thing's already flowing a lot better than Juan and Sean are doing. So I think this is going great already. So uh, no, so for everybody tuning in, we are part of the Central Mafia. This is the Central Mafia live stream. We do this every second and third Thursday, I think.
Yep.
And let me see here. I think Juan was nice enough to give me a really nice slideshow that I looked at probably 30 seconds ago, a minute ago, maybe, I guess. So, but yeah, this is our live stream. Twice a month we do this. My name is Trevor Brandenburg, owner of Ignitech. And Heather, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Heather Simic here in Chicagoland area. Used to run an MSP for about 14 years.
Yeah.
And going on to bigger and better things.
So yeah, I do run an MSP. So you're just further along in your journey and smarter than me, apparently. Right?
Well, further along, probably.
Yeah. But I'm kind of far along. I work half days. I decide which 12 hours a day I got to work, and then that's my half day. Is all.
Sounds exactly like MSP world.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. What is our partner-led community, Heather?
Well, do you want me to just read off of this, or what it is? So,
Well,
I mean, it's called Central Mafia.
So we can read off this, but yeah, what do you think of our partner-led community?
So what I love about Central Mafia is that it is that we get to lead it. It's not by a vendor kind of dictating what our agenda is.
Yeah.
So we're able to talk without outside influence.
Without
and restrictions. So and it's really just an area that lifts up other MSPs, whether they're going through trials or tribulations, or they have wins that they want to share with people. And it's really just all of us coming together, brainstorming on how to make our businesses better. And sometimes it does involve vendor, like Helpt is coming in to talk about AI and things like that. And sometimes it's just strictly about processes and what we see is going on in the channel or in our industries or our verticals. So it's a 100% safe place to come, no judging, and everybody gets an opportunity to engage.
Yeah, so I think you described that way better than Juan's three little points here. But Juan's three little points are relevant too, because now we do have a little. What I think is cool is we have a nice mix of vendors, because what's out there, what's the latest, greatest, and you don't know unless you get a little bit of that kind of thing. But then we also do the partner-led stuff where anything goes. Jump on that, jump on those Thursdays that we do those, and you can bring anything that's bothering you in your business, in your MSP. And then, like I said, I don't remember how long I've been involved in the Central Mafia, quite a while now, but the connections are incredible. Like, you're not on an island, and I feel comfortable that jumping on the Slack group or whatever and asking any question at all, because somebody's seen it, somebody's done it, and there's value in numbers, right? And And
Absolutely.
that's kind of what it is, I think. So,
You
yeah.
know what else I really like? There is the vendors that do come there and present. You get a lot of one-on-one time with them. And, at a conference, you have 75 other vendors that are competing for your time.
Yeah.
Whereas when you come to user group, they're in front of you. You're able to sit down. They can log in. If you have an issue or a question, they make the time to make sure that those questions get answered.
Well,
There's not a lot of places that happens.
I agree. And I think you'll see this with Matt too, just talking with him behind the scenes quick on the way he's going to present is
Yeah.
it's not the people that we invite in it's not a canned sales pitch where you're going to get the exact script that they are selling.
Right.
It's a lot of real use case examples. And then you can ask questions on, hey, this is how I would use it. And would it help my business using it exactly like this? And they can answer that question versus.
So funny story, at the last one we were at, one of the vendors were there and I know you're surprised, but I kind of gave my 10-cent opinion on some things I thought they could do better.
No, you didn't.
I know, you were very surprised. I went to IT Secure and that vendor was there and they came and talked to me and they implemented 2 of my 3 ideas and just really thanked me for the input. And that is also something that happens at our user groups. They're really there to learn from us as much as we're there to learn from them.
Right, because this partner-led group, we're not looking for just a vendor. We're looking for a partner in our business.
Absolutely.
Software,
so. Yeah.
All right, let's and the connections are huge. So let's see what else Juan's got for us. Oh, QR codes. So anybody that's not in our Slack, see how excited I was about these slides because I'm seeing them for the first time too. So Slack group, that is where a lot of that relationships or communications happens. We meet each other in person at our user group events, which are fun, and we'll get into that in a second. But then once you get to know somebody, the Slack group is chatting, and you can ask questions inside the Slack group, and that's the value that I find is, hey, I got a question about this. I wonder if I'll throw this in the Slack, and people always respond.
Right.
And all the good stuff that's in links. So if you guys aren't following on Slack or LinkedIn, those are the QR codes for both of those. YouTube, I will admit, I don't know that I've been on the YouTube channel. I don't know what we do on there. Do you know what we do on there, Heather?
I think it's a lot of what they're recording right now is what they're putting up there.
See, what we're recording now, I see a lot of on LinkedIn is where I see this.
Yeah.
Probably go back and watch it on YouTube. So,
Yep.
Yeah, go follow us there too as well, and join the group. Stay informed, vendor and partner monthly live stream. So that's what I was talking about earlier. It's the second and third Thursdays is what we're doing now, where the partners come on, right, Heather, and we kind of we choose those very carefully, and they're usually relevant to things that are going on. And they usually come about, I would say, also by the open mics on what people want to talk about. And then we say, oh, well, let's find a vendor that can come talk about that, or who's using what. That's a big thing. You kind of don't want to be the first person out on the island to use a piece of software. You want to hear somebody else. You want to hear somebody else that's using it and say, all right, I think I can make that work, right? So those are the big dates, the second and third Thursdays, which is what we're in now. And then the open mics are fun because those, we really don't have a topic. I mean, sometimes we have a topic, but people just bring us stuff to talk about. And then it just flows. I think it just flows after that, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Open mic, you'd never know what you're walking into.
Especially if it's a rare one Sean's going to attend. There's usually a beer t-shirt and whatever else he wants to talk about, I'm guessing. Fair enough, true?
Fair enough. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a clown for sure.
User group, what do you think of these, Heather?
User group, we actually do 2 in-person user groups. We are coming up to September. That is the last one for this year. And it's just a little more from what we were talking about earlier as to why we do it. We usually have around 125 people or so. So make sure you register. And we're also starting to reintroduce training back into our user groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really want to encourage people to bring their staff. It is free. Um, so everybody, no matter what their position are, really can benefit from coming. I know last time I brought our marketing girl,
Yep.
and she made great connections. She was able to implement some new ideas. She has kept those relationships going since our last event, and she just can't talk enough about it. So I just encourage you guys as we get the agenda published and things like that, to really look at within your company as to who can best utilize some of that.
Yeah, so that's excellent. I think that we've been doing a very good job on. You touched on the trainings, so nobody wants to go sit through an all-day sales pitch, right? That's not going to do anybody any good. We want real-world stuff to take back with us, and the vendors are doing a really good job at helping us create that day of trainings or things that are useful, so that when you do, if you don't come yourself, if you do send, staff, you want to know that they're coming back with something to implement even that day. I'm not a huge MSP, and I send 3 people every time. I send 3 people every time because there's that other aspect of this is where the in-person. And I would say the cool thing that I like about the user groups as well is there's companies and people representing companies from all different sizes. So they're all at different journeys in the business world or the business, and they have different functions in the business that they have. And so like you touched on, a marketing person comes, not just your tech people, an array of different people. So that's why I think, and then obviously we need to talk about the 16th. That's the day before is always fun. So we added that as kind of a icebreaker, kind of fun. So it's not just one day. You're not just flying down there for one day, and it's a good time. So I make sure I go every time. Every single time I go, not just because I'm part of the user group or part of this group, but just the value that I've gotten out of it over the years is irreplaceable.
And some of the other companies that do come, I know they use it as a let's get away from the office and kind of build some camaraderie. It's local. Yeah. So they're not investing a lot of money into it other than the time away from the business. And that's huge.
Yeah.
So, I really encourage everybody to come out. And it's really nice to make those connections within our industry. So whenever we are having a problem, I know of an MSP who was walking through a breach, and because of the connections they made, they reached out to people that they trusted because they built those relationships, and they were able to go over and give them some advice and things like that, and to help them out. Had there not been a user group, I'm not sure they would have been able to have those relationships.
Yeah, those power in numbers, and then you're not on that island, and that is the number one thing I have taken out of user groups over the past 5, 7, 8 years, is just those relationships, and looking forward to once a quarter going and seeing everybody that's there, and besides talking on the Slack group, getting in person. So
investing in your employees, right, by bringing them to something like this. Not everybody can afford to go to some of those big conferences and take 5 people. That there's a cost associated with this. So this is a way to invest in your employees within our industry.
Recommend getting on the Slack group, but highly recommend getting to these things as well. These things are fun. We make them fun and great connections. So the sponsors at the only way we can make that happen is with sponsors. And so we have some really great sponsors. And like I said, they tailor it to, I think you touched on it a few minutes ago, Heather, the one-on-oneness of these, that you're not at a large conference, you're at a small conference. So there's throughout the day and the night before, because they're all there, most of them are there the night before too.
Right.
You get actual real conversations, like for real conversations. And hey, I have this use case. Could we get it to do this? And a real answer, an actual real answer.
It just happened, right? Yeah.
Yes. So Nodeware helped. Matt will be talking in a little bit. Infima, Movilla, and Sentient.
Yep.
And ConnectWise. Sorry, ConnectWise. What are we covering today, Heather? I'll let you read that.
Why AI won't replace your entire support team anytime soon. So Matt's going to be coming out talking about AI and kind of his thoughts about what's going on in our industry and how best to use AI. Right now, I think we can all agree that companies are just coming out of the woodwork about AI, and it's hard for anybody in any industry, but specifically our industry, where you're trying to funnel through and figure out how best to use it ourselves, and then how can we talk to our customers about using it in their environment. So I am super excited to hear what Matt has to say on this. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it goes back to like we pick relevant topics, and this topic is not only hot, but it's the wild, wild west kind of mentality of what's going on. And we're currently putting all kinds of resources and efforts into AI here at Ignitec, but we're very careful. And I think Matt's going to talk a lot about this. Is the companies I feel the companies that are going to be most successful are going to be the ones that learn to work with AI and not replace with AI. And with that being said, let's bring Matt in. He's got lots of good stuff to talk about.
Sounds great.
I got nothing, guys. I mean, Trevor, I think you just covered it one sentence. Thanks for having me. See you guys later.
Wait.
I'm kidding. But I think you're right. So first, I'll rewind. Matt from Helpt, your help desk partner. I know some of you watching probably met me at the CMUG event in Chicago a couple months back. If not, if anybody was here at IT Nation Connect last November, I was the one running around as Waldo. Me and my team were all the Waldos. Actually, inadvertently wore the same polo shirt today that I brought for one of my Waldo outfits last year. So if you guys remember all the little Waldos, I don't know where the glasses are. I see the hat. I have a little beanie here. It's filled with business cards right now, actually, from IT Nation and some other events. My daughter actually likes to my 1.5-year-old likes to come in my office and just play around, and she loves going through business cards. So the beanie's filled with the cards that I collected and threw back into something for her to play with. So anyway, Helpt. We do outsource help desk, and so for us, AI is a hot button as much as it is for anybody in the industry. It's one of the areas where people ask me constantly. Somebody literally asked me last night, how is AI affecting your business for better or worse? And I think the shorter answer to that is that it's kind of too early to really know. The very, very short answer is actually that AI has been great for us. We have one client that actually just launched with us a couple weeks back. When we were going through the onboarding process for them, we talked to them about how they found us, how they ended up choosing to use us. And they said they had always kept their help desk in-house, and they were trying to scale. And they ended up using one of those MSP-focused AI chatbots. It's supposed to be one of those things where it's ingesting your knowledge base. And it was one of the phone-based ones. It's one of the actual voice-based, so it can communicate with you back and forth in real time. And their clients, I guess, without communicating with one another, pretty big MSP, they have a broad range of clients. So many of their clients realize that the AI isn't that fast or helpful, and they just wanted to get to a human, and they tried to figure out how to get to a human. And it turns out the answer is swearing. They all have different mechanisms in place. If you have negative sentiment, if you say negative things, but if you just swear, if you say, F you AI, get me a human in a very harsh tone, it's probably going to do that. So there's a pro tip for everyone out there who's trying to deal with AI and kind of get through AI.
Well, Heather, Sean will never, ever talk to AI, ever. Sean can never, ever talk to AI, ever.
I know.
Before AI existed. But yeah, so I mean, that's a client that came to us because they realized that their clients were already circumventing the system. So the system obviously wasn't that good of a system. Now, personally, I do think AI is the future. We use it some internally. But the reality, and Trevor, this is where I was getting at the fact that you kind of already covered it. AI is a tool. If you're a farmer and one day you have the great idea to use your oxen to pull your plow, you're going to get that much more effective. And then if someday somebody comes down the road and offers to sell you a tractor, you're going to be that much more effective. When it comes time to pick the crops, if you're doing it all by hand, it's going to be laborious. You're going to need tons of people. And if you can have a tool that helps you do it faster, more efficiently, then that's where AI is going to help you. AI is not going to replace your team. AI is going to make it so that your team can all do more.
Right.
And I wanted to take the time today to kind of get into that. I also don't want this to be me just shouting at people. I don't have slides. I don't want this to be a presentation. It's definitely not a sales pitch. I mean, I'm not selling an AI solution. I could tell you a half dozen more reasons why you shouldn't be going too gung-ho into AI without being a little cautious, and why we can help you if you're a little bit reluctant to dip your toes in. But what I really want to do is make this a little conversational. And so I have LinkedIn and YouTube open. So if there's any comments there, I don't know how much of a lag there is. I'm going to try to catch them. But otherwise, Trevor, Heather, I'm going to be leaning on you to be the representatives of MSPs in general when it comes to how AI might be beneficial. So of the two of you, and Heather, I know you're not currently running the MSP, but you were until pretty recently. Mm-hmm. Are you both using AI in any sort of mission critical environment right now?
Yes. So a couple things real quick. Like I said earlier in the intro, it's kind of like the wild, wild west. Everybody's just kind of going this way and going that way and going whatever. And a lot of people just want to dive straight in. But what does dive straight in mean? And to some people, that is, I'm going to replace everybody. Watch AI do it. That's not going to work, right? And how can we free people up to do more challenging tasks or things they enjoy? Or I guess I tell when we're trying to figure out what we're going to have AI do, what are the mundane, monotonous tasks that they want to shed or get rid of? Now, can we get AI? Can we get AI to do that? Not the personal touch, not that kind of stuff. Mundane, monotonous tasks that annoy the engineers of the task, and can we get it done quicker? That's the way we look at it.
Yeah,
so I agree. One thing. Sorry, go ahead, Heather.
Those are the same conversations we were having with our customers, because they kind of moved us along a little quicker than I think we anticipated to want to get into AI. Yeah. And that's, when you sat down with our customers, the first thing they would say is, how do I reduce my staff? And we had to sit there and educate them that that's not the focal point. The focal point is, how do you replace the mundane tasks, the repetitiveness, so now they can grow within their positions to the next level. And you can't rely on it 100%. You still have to have checks and balances. So, it all kind of works together.
So I have some notes that, are my kind of talking points to go through here. And I feel like I must have shared them with you guys without even remembering, because you each just verbatim use some of the language that I have in my notes here. I mean, Trevor, you've said Wild West a few times, and I think that's exactly it. Right now, I think in the MSP space, it's kind of natural that we're a bunch of nerds who like to play with the new toys, and AI is the new toy. So you said it can't do everything, and that's exactly my note, was that, the Wild West means that people will try AI for anything, but then Heather, you made the comment that you can't rely on it without checks and balances. Right now, it's at a point where there's really nothing mission critical that I would entrust to AI. I might use it as a tool for some oversight. I had to draft a policy, and I kind of had a bunch of bullet points for how I wanted to put in there, and I needed to make that flowing sentences. I absolutely went to the AI and said, hey, I need a policy document. This is my intention. This is how long I want it to be. These are all my notes. Make this a document. But even that, I didn't just cover my eyes, copy, paste, send it off. I then had to go back and read it. It probably saved me 40 minutes of writing that, where instead I just need to do a little bit of editing. But there's absolutely no world in which I'm just entrusting anything to the AI. And I think the reason that we're here talking about this and how AI won't replace your help desk is your help desk is the first point of contact for all your customers. And so when we talk about things you might or might not trust AI to, don't think about what your help desk is actually doing. Think about what they represent. They represent the fact that when somebody needs you, when somebody's coming to you for the thing they pay you for, the first point of contact is your help desk. And if you make that first point of contact your AI, what kind of are you confident that you're going to give the impression that you want to give? So in my mind and in my experience, AI is that tool. It is sitting on the back end. You still want humans to be right there up front. You still want to be making that great first impression. You want that positive point of contact. In our business, we look at our help desk technicians as translators, for lack of a better word. When somebody, so for one, there's a kind of generational gap. If you have some user calling in that's 24 years old, chances are they've been on ChatGPT for a couple of years already. They're very familiar with it. But if you get somebody from that accounting office that's 64 years old, it's going to be a little bit different. And, when that 24-year-old calls in and there's some issue with their tablet, they've probably knew to turn it off and turn it on again. They've probably they could probably tell you as much about what troubleshooting steps they've taken as what you could possibly offer to them. But with that 64-year-old, it's not the case. We always joke about how we had a ticket once where somebody called in and said, printer's not working. Straightforward, pretty easy to go through the steps, make sure it's, connected, print a test sheet. If it's a networked printer, maybe you have to remap it. A couple different things you could do. And as our tech was kind of going through the steps, it turned out that each of them was irrelevant, actually, because the printer was actually working just fine, except that when the caller printed something, the shade of blue was not what she saw on her screen. And how do you account for, how do you address that? Unfortunately, our tech kind of was going through the troubleshooting steps without actually going through all the steps. We're kind of rather talking about it. We're going to try this to see if it'll fix that. Oh, no, that's not the problem. Okay, then we're going to try this to see if it'll fix it. Oh, that's not the problem either. So the tech was able to kind of get to the crux of the issue, but it meant that, the first 5 minutes of that support call was our tech figuring out, getting to the root of what the problem is. And we tried to kind of workshop that in ChatGPT. We gave it one of those, frameworks where you say, this is the scenario. I'm going to be a person, respond to me as though you are a support specialist. And it never got to getting that sort of clarification. I knew that it was the wrong color. And if it were me calling because something was printing the wrong color, I would say that. I would lead with that. But this person didn't. And so my assumption in testing the AI is that I assume that, some users are just not going to be that great at communicating. They're going to answer the questions that are asked, no more, no less. And the AI never really got to that answer. So I think it's a situation where, again, we consider our technicians to be the translators. It's that human interface. It's the thing that allows you to get to where you can actually solve the problem. And that's where there are going to be a lot of those mundane and repetitive tasks. There are going to be a lot of the easy things. And you need to give the AI the job to do. The AI only knows what it's been taught, what it's been told. I mean, AI is almost kind of just a fancy way of saying a script, and everyone in the MSP space has been using scripts for the last 20 years. So, will you entrust the AI to actually learn what it needs to do, or are you basically just giving it scripts to follow? And I think where we are right now, you're really just giving it scripts to follow. So one way that I like to look at where AI is going to step in, where it is the most valuable tool, I like to look at businesses in general, not just in terms of what job roles, what titles are being filled, but rather what actual work function role is being filled. And so for each of you now, I kind of want to take a moment to talk through that. Sure. We're here to talk specifically about help desk related functions. Just throw one out there. What is a job role related to an MSP help desk?
Like in general, like password reset? I mean,
yeah, so like a password reset is something that would fall under the role of a level 1 tech. So you have somebody who calls in and maybe this is a place where there is the opportunity to have the AI front end because somebody knows they need a password reset. At the same time, have either of you tried to give your users self-service password resets?
we do.
Do they do that reliably, or do they still kind of want someone to do that?
I didn't.
So,
I probably only got 2 password resets a year.
okay, well, good. So
like it's not a big thing at our MSP, but I know other MSPs, they spend a lot of time doing that.
We do. So we've given users ability with them still coming to us.
And I feel like the situation that most MSPs are in. This is a mundane task that we shouldn't have to do. We don't want to do it. We're going to give the users the power to do it themselves.
And you have level 1s wanting to become level 2s, but yet they're stuck there doing passwords when we can help them grow into the engineer they want to be by that exact example.
And what we've seen from some of our clients is that they still have their users coming to them to do the password resets. Yeah. And so our clients, rather than giving us any sort of system access, just give us the URL to the self-service reset portal and have us literally do the self-service reset on behalf of the end user. So yes, this is something that the AI could definitely do. You need the user to go and actually do it.
Right.
I think the benefit of the AI in that case is if I'm a user and I know I need to get my password reset, I need to remember where to go, what to do. And if I can remember where to go, what to do, if it's somehow put in the RMM agent that's sitting on my desktop where I could right click that and go to, password reset, then maybe that's easy to remember. I think for most people, they don't want to have to keep track of all of their technical tools and the features and functions that they need. So AI in this case is good because it becomes the ingestion point. They can just open the chat bar and say password reset, and it just takes them to the right place. And so that's a situation where the self-service password reset, again, you're using a script essentially for lack of a better term, but now you're using the AI as a way to, it's basically just a search bar. Like at that point, you're taking glorified Google. It's Google that's trained on your own internal data. So is it AI? I don't know. We can call it AI because AI is a buzzword and we'll all be able to tell our businesses for more if we're very AI enabled. But basically what you're saying is you have a search engine that leads to an existing portal that you've been using probably for the better part of a decade. So level 1, I think the other side of level 1 is basic troubleshooting. And, again, I use the printer example, or somebody calls in because, their mouse isn't working, the keyboard's working. And we have plenty of odd stories about weird troubleshooting cases. We had one, it was a ghost keyboard, basically. Somebody had just gotten a new computer, and when they booted it up, the H key was depressed. So you go to type in username and it's just H. Nobody could figure out why. It took a couple techs actually looking at it. It was a huge time drain. It was kind of unfortunate. Turned out that there was a USB key, the little dongle, that was, I guess, somehow connected to 2 different keyboards, and one of them had been put on a shelf with some books put on top of it.
Oh, no.
And so they had the keyboard right in front of them, and that keyboard worked fine, but there was another keyboard somewhere else. And the techs had asked, like, is there another keyboard, anything like that? And in that case, it was something where the techs were asking the right questions. The users were giving the right answers to the best of their knowledge. So again, it's a situation where what can the AI do when you're giving it answers and it's hitting a wall? It's going to start just making up. It's going to hallucinate. Like, it's not going to give you productive information.
We've run into that.
And our techs were probably as frustrated as the AI would be because they weren't getting the right answer, but they obviously know to not be frustrated with the user, to keep the smile in their voice and to be as helpful as they could. But again, the idea is that they serve as translators. Eventually, we did figure this out. This came from the fact that we often have to trick people. Somebody calls and says, hey, my monitor's not working. Let's make sure there's not a kink in the power cord. I want you to run your fingers all the way from where it's plugged into the wall all the way to where the power cord's plugged into the monitor. And it turns out it wasn't actually plugged in. So based on that, we use that same logic where we had somebody go to every different part of the room and look for, is there a radio turned on? Is there anything like that? And eventually they said, I just found a keyboard on a shelf. And when I moved that, the H has stopped. And that was how we ended up solving it. That's an outside of the box solution. So that was a case where our technician served as the translator, as the psychologist in a way, and basically convinced the user to jump through some hoops to solve the issue. So I think in the case of level 1, if it is a password reset, if somebody calls in, I pick up the phone, hey, I need to do a password reset. Great. Let me go through the verification first. Is that something we could use the AI for? Probably. Okay, you're verified now. I just need to reset your password, press a button. AI could do that. Yes, 100% agree with you. But if it's anything besides that, then I feel like the AI is going to be just a tool in the tool belt. Trevor, to your point about empowering the team more than replacing the team.
Yeah. It helps management in a help desk area a lot, because we were starting to do role-based assignments through AI. It was like one of the first things that we did is based on their skill set, which helped the supervisor not have to worry about the added function for the dispatcher. So I think there's things like that it can use, but it also, right before I left, there was a report that I was able to generate about repeat users calling in for the same thing all the time, that we were able to say, hey, Susie really needs to get trained on Outlook.
Yes. Yeah. We're done with Susie's calls. We're done with Susie's calls. We're going to trade Susie.
Susie's averaging, 12 tickets a month, all on Excel. Let's get Susie some training on Excel. But that, again, helps with the help desk environment, because if we're always taking those repeat calls from the same user and you have, 8 engineers, you might not really pick up always that, it's Susie again, until you get Susie the third time.
But then like Matt said, though, then that frees your engineer up to be more personable, learn, go to bigger and better fixes and things that 100%. They're monotonous, tired of fixing, but you wouldn't have ordinarily seen to go train Susie until that thing grabbed a pattern. That thing grabbed a pattern and said, okay, let's go train Susie. Now I'm done with Susie. I'm going to go on to bigger, better things, right?
Absolutely. And it frees up the supervisor and the account manager. So it's kind of a ripple effect if you're using it as a tool and not as a replacement.
How do you make all of your staff more valuable? How do you get more ROI from each person that you're hiring? If you have a level 2, a level 3 tech, they're more expensive. And every minute that they need to take an overflow call to do that password reset is a minute they're getting wildly overpaid, because that's something that really should be beneath them. For what it's worth, we call those repeat callers frequent flyers, and I hope that's that can catch on through the industry. So I'll keep repeating that one. Frequent flyers for all the people that are calling in repeatedly. So again, I feel like I must have just shared my notes in advance with you guys. So Heather, you mentioned dispatch, and I wanted to next talk about where I think AI really does fit the best within the help desk. And I feel like dispatch is something where, again, there's an element of needing to translate, because when somebody calls in and they say there's a problem with something and you need to get them to the right resource, they need to know where the problem lies. But I feel like in the case of dispatch, it's a situation where however the person describes it, you're going to get them to the right person. The dispatcher isn't really going to have a ton more insight. And I know in some cases, some MSPs we've seen have some fairly technical dispatchers, or at least they've been experienced enough that they've learned how to be a little bit more technical. But in a lot of cases, the dispatchers are not so technical. They're just that kind of first line where they're the friendly voice and they say, yeah, we're going to help you. I'm going to get you over to the right person. They're not technical at all. They're really just gathering the information and not making any sort of decision from it. And that's a situation where whatever information they get from the caller, I feel like the AI could do just as well with that same amount of information. They will have the role-based assignment. That AI would be good in that sort of dispatch function. And then it's just a matter of how you're gathering the data. Back to the idea of using it as a glorified search bar.
Right.
If this is something where somebody, through the agent that's installed in their computer knows that they can open it up and just type in whatever their problem is, and it just gives them the next steps. It automatically does the dispatch. I understand, I've created a ticket, someone's going to reach out to you, whatever it is, or, oh, this sounds urgent, you need to call. I feel like that is something where you can set roles for the AI to understand, assessing urgency, assessing priority, and then making sure that it's going to the right technician, it's going to the right resource to help resolve that issue. So in my mind, dispatch is the role that is most likely to be, I'll say, disrupted by AI. It could be something where you still want to have that human element. It could be something where somebody still swears
That's what I was.
AI, and you still.
That's what I was going to ask you, Matt. What's your thoughts or feelings on walking that tightrope or walking that fine line? Because you're going to have two separate styles of users. You're going to have the 20-some-year-old that says, "Yeah, I just want to throw this in the tool over in the right-hand corner, type in." And then on our end, we can receive that and we can say, oh, you know what? On my end, Eric's fixed this problem 4 times. He'd be the best engineer for this. Eric has something open on Wednesday and he's already seen this problem 4 times, right? But then you're going to have a subset of users that do not want to do that. And they want to talk to Sally, the front desk lady. And so you're kind of walking, kind of go over that, walking a fine line tightrope of who wants to use it, who doesn't want to use it, right?
So the reason that I have a business is because people do want to talk to someone on the phone. And I think that will be the case. And actually, I mentioned generational changes. One interesting thing that we've seen is that it's actually more the middle-aged and lower middle-aged people that actually use more of the AI, more of the self-service type tools. It's not just the older crowd, but it's also some of that younger crowd, some of that 25 and under that actually are so tech native that they don't necessarily know how to solve. They're so accustomed to it just working that when something goes wrong, they don't know what to do but to pick up the phone and call someone. And a lot of them, in some cases, are comfortable texting. And so maybe that becomes an easier avenue. But yeah, Trevor, I think you're exactly right. I think that if somebody does want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, give your customer what they want. That cost of having that human talk to them for 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's not going to put you out of business, and it's going to give you a happier customer and evangelist. It's going to lead to more revenue.
And if you can get AI to do things behind the scenes or behind you, now you can open yourself up for what I'll call values and inefficiencies of that human element, that value of speaking with somebody, right? So, and give them that option. Walk that tightrope of saying, hey, I'm going to give you either way. Here's a couple solutions. Would you like to try them? No. Operator. Let them get to somebody and talk, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Imagine that human dispatcher, that receptionist, the person who takes the call is able to ask what the issue is, and the AI is listening. And then it says, oh, this sounds like an issue that, Trevor has experience resolving, but Trevor's not available until next Tuesday. Heather is going to be the soonest available tech, and she could reach back out within 30 minutes. And the receptionist knows to give the person the option, hey, is this urgent? Because I know we have a tech who can call you back pretty soon, but it sounds like this is a recurring issue. I see this is the 3rd time you've called about this. I'd rather have Trevor reach out to you next Tuesday if that works. There's a lot of coordination. The dispatcher, the receptionist, is able to get all of that information, doing a lot of work, kind of doing research, looking at the CRM, looking through the user history. But imagine the AI is able to actually aggregate all of that information and make the suggestions for you. That's where we think AI is the empowerment tool for the dispatch.
Yeah, kind of like Heather's example of the person, Sally, I think you said, called
I just made up the name.
Matt, your example is exactly the same thing. Was, oh, okay, now I've put something in front of my human element dispatch that can now reason and say, oh, do I want to give them the option to wait or now? Which they ordinarily would have had to dig deep into that ticketing system to find anything that resembled that data. Yeah.
It makes things that you certainly can do, but are a little bit tedious, light and fast. So all of a sudden, something that wasn't really realistic or feasible is now just part of your modus operandi.
Right. And
all right.
It's also, can help account managers with help desk make sure you're meeting SLAs and all those other things. That's time consuming to run all those reports. AI is going to help speed that up so they could be more focused on the relationship and less focused on that data.
Yeah, exactly. So let's I guess circle back a little bit to something that was mentioned a little bit earlier. So for each of your MSPs, whose job is it to keep the knowledge base up to date? Is it everyone on the team? Like, is the knowledge base well maintained? Like, tell me about the status of your knowledge base and who owns that.
So it's outdated the second it's done. And I don't have a good answer for you because we're actually using ConnectWise. So we create a knowledge base and then we upload them into ConnectWise for ease of search and things like that. But once again, I've been under the, handle your own business. So if you open up a KB and the screenshots are a little different, okay, now it's on you to update that. But that engineer's in a hurry, says, I don't have time to update that. I'm just reclosing it and going through this, right? So it never gets updated. So tell me, Matt, how am I going to do this? Tell me, please tell me.
I mean, yeah, I wish I could say there is definitely an easy answer. I think this is where we've seen a lot of AI tools come to market that are doing some component of this. There are some that are watching your screen at every moment, so it makes it easy to push the button, take the screenshot, and it's going to put that into the knowledge base article for you. In some cases, you talk about how somebody's calling in with the same issue repeatedly. And have we tried different steps to resolution, like what's worked, what hasn't? That's something that's going to sit in the ticket notes, but it might not necessarily be in the knowledge base. People don't typically write knowledge base articles that include things that didn't work. Hey, here's the 5 steps to fix it, but nobody says, here's the 5 things that we tried that didn't actually work. So that means when that person calls in for the 4th time and the 5 steps don't work, you're grasping at straws trying to figure out. So now it's a lot easier to save your folks time. You're putting down, this is to the idea that I said earlier when I needed to write that policy document, I had the bullet points and it made it into an actual document. In this case, you have ticket notes. Those ticket notes can become part of your knowledge base. Now, I would argue that this might actually create a job for a human. Right now, if you wanted to hire somebody just to maintain your knowledge base, that kind of feels like low ROI. You're going to spend all that on head just for stuff that should be part of other people's responsibilities.
Yes.
I'm not saying this is going to be the responsibility of a full-time head. Maybe you contract, maybe this is like an Upwork or a Fiverr kind of thing where all these articles get written. You really just need somebody to review and okay it. You need somebody to approve it. We actually use a knowledge-based system here called Guru. And, Guru's useful. It has its own AI, which is basically just a glorified search engine. So whatever, they just have to shoehorn AI in there so they could raise the prices.
Yeah.
But, the way it works is it has a pretty sophisticated approval system. It's easy to have a draft knowledge base, and it's easy to, have a workflow that leads to the correct approvers. Imagine it's not somebody's job to actually write these articles, but it's somebody's job to just put the eyes on it and say, yes, the AI did a good job. Check, publish this. And that's something where, you're probably not going to hire somebody full-time to do that, but it'd be pretty easy for you to take one of your level 2 techs, somebody who has a bit of experience, but isn't your most senior person, and tell them they need to spend the last 30 minutes every day going through any new knowledge base articles that have been updated, changed, or created by the AI. That becomes something where all of a sudden you're getting the output of that full-time person in 30 minutes a day. So you are going to have that responsibility be created and actually get a lot of value because the AI has now made the person doing it so productive that it's worth mandating. It's worth giving somebody that level of ownership. So, Trevor, I'm sorry I don't have a magic bullet, easy solution here. I think the way tools will improve will help. But I do think that's an area where we will see that we can all find ways to improve our knowledge base by using the AI just to gather data. At the very least, if it's a Firefly sort of thing where it's keeping all the notes from all your client interactions, it's better than not having the notes. I know when I would have meetings, I would sometimes take notes. Sometimes they weren't so good. Sometimes I would say, I remember taking notes during that meeting. But then 2 months later, I'm looking back. I don't even remember what these notes mean. When you have something like Fireflies, you at least have good meeting notes. So even if you just leave it there, even if you just leave it in Fireflies completely separate from any other system you're using, it's at least there and searchable whenever you need it. So it's at least it's a better memory than any human is going to have. So
Agreed.
I think it's just incremental, taking those little baby steps. I think the last area then, and I know we're close on time here, the last area is just sentiment analysis. We talked about how I think it's important for humans to kind of be that first point of contact because that's the impression that you're giving. Sometimes you're going to have an angry customer. Sometimes it's not even by phone. Somebody could put in an angry ticket. And that might be something where that ticket ends up getting escalation. Oh, I'm a level 1 tech. I see this ticket, but it sounds like Trevor's really angry. Before I do anything, I'm going to call my boss, Heather, and say, hey, Trevor seems pretty pissed. Like, how do you want me to handle this? And Heather's going to say, oh, no, I should just take over that myself. Imagine instead you have some sort of sentiment analysis that pops up something that says, hey, this is a red alert. You have an angry customer. And that's just hitting an alert on Heather's desktop. So it doesn't even need to make it to me. She can just grab it, save that 5 minutes, save the interaction, save the time. It just makes us a little bit more efficient. And what that efficiency means is that we can get to that customer quicker. Imagine then me as level 1 help desk, reach out to this angry customer. Trevor says, Matt, who the F are you? You must be new there. You don't know anything about any of this stuff. Give me Heather. She knows what she's doing. I've given this person a chance. Like, maybe I'm great at what I do and I'm great at diffusing. I love telling a story about an old employee of mine in my old business called named Bernie, who, short version, business started as a memory broker, moved into selling fiber optic hardware. Bernie knew memory inside and out. He was on the help desk. When we migrated to doing fiber optic hardware, Bernie didn't know the first thing about fiber optic hardware. But Bernie had this uncanny way of just disarming people. People would call in so angry that some part was failing. And by the end of the call, they were planning to get a beer with Bernie Friday night. I don't know how he did it. Maybe I'm that good. I think Bernie was 1 in a million. So chances are this person is now going to feel like they're already angry about something. They're going to be even more angry now that Matt called them back and couldn't actually help them. And now the situation's just gone from bad to worse. So sentiment analysis is another thing where, in this case, the AI is actually oversight for the humans. It can kind of give you the heads up if something might need to get escalation, not because it's a technical issue, but just because you want to have good account management. You want to have good customer management, user management, just to make sure that that VIP person is happy. So in my mind, that is the other key area where you're going to want to use AI as a sort of overlay for all the things that you're doing. That isn't replacing anyone's job. That's going to make everyone a little bit more efficient. And more importantly, it's going to deliver an excellent customer experience. That's what we focus on. And that's why that's a topic that comes up regularly for me, is what can we do to make sure that our customers are getting exactly what they need? And in our case, what can we do to make sure that our customers' customers are getting exactly what they need? And that's where AI can really be useful in doing that. So I think those are the 3 key points. Going back to that level 1 help desk, making sure that the simple stuff can be done at the push of a button. If the button push is required at all, makes your level 1 tech efficient. It lets them to focus on the person they're talking to, being empathetic rather than needing to figure out where they need to go and what they need to do. It's going to make your knowledge base a lot better because it's going to at least take the notes. If that's all you use it for, it at least has all of the conversation history saved in a way that is searchable and digestible. And then it's going to help you stay ahead of potential problems with things like sentiment analysis.
Agreed. Yeah, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And where it is today is not where it's going to be next week. And as we continue to learn more and more about AI and use those databases where it's dumping that information for our businesses, we're going to be able to be more efficient. We can then tap into our staff and watch them grow, which then makes them sticky to us as their employer, and then our customers are getting better customer service. So it just all comes full circle.
Exactly. It's about just improving. And, I think another aspect of it is if the AI, as you say, is going to get bigger and bigger and better, like at some point, if anybody has any sort of technical issue, what do they need us for? Like at that point, we're all just in the matrix. We're all just plugged in, where all our problems get solved before we even know their problems. So if you can invent the AI that's actually that good to solve all the problems, you're going to put every MSP, every internal IT department, like you load the AI, you load Skynet in there, and it solves every problem before it comes up until Arnold Schwarzenegger has to go travel back.
I don't know if I'm on board with that.
I think that's a long way off. I think that's
And I hope we never get fully to what you described.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Like I said, that could go full circle. Hopefully we never get to what he described as full circle is, using this as a tool, like you started the conversation off, Matt, with using it as a tool and freeing us up for that human element and putting that actually back into it and let the AI do the monotonous tech stuff on behind the scenes and put the human element back into it. I know we're running out of time, and like we could talk about this subject forever. So this would be a good reason for you to come on the 16th and the 17th, right, Heather, to
Absolutely.
the user group at Burr Ridge, because Helpt will be there, and we can continue the conversation, right, and keep that going, because this could have gone in many different directions, and I like the three that you picked because they're relevant. They are relevant, and the other thing is, Matt, they're doable. They're relevant. They're doable. These are things that people can get done inside their business and slowly grow and learn the AI.
Exactly. It shouldn't be Wild West. It's great to have new toys to play with, but if these are things you're actually relying on, if these are things that your customers are touching, you need to have confidence in them. So take those baby steps and make sure you're doing things the right way.
Matt, will you be in Burr Ridge yourself?
I believe I will be. I know I made it to the last one. It'll probably be me again, but I'll need to double check my calendar and see.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be fun. All right.
I look forward to seeing everyone there if it is me. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Great conversation, Matt. Heather, thanks for co-hosting. I'm sorry you guys will get Sean and Juan back next Thursday, unfortunately. So.
Poor Sean. Yeah. All right. It was great having you, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye.